Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, the main show after the pre-show. More on that later. With the big man, the guy who heats his pool in the middle of the winter, the big shoots himself, Mr. Karl Bryan.
Yo, road dog, how goes it, my brother?
You know, it's going pretty well. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. What's happening? Are you setting me up for something? What's going on?
Yeah, you know what? You always say everything like on steroids. So I'm just wondering, I was Googling this steroid stunt growth, and but I was just wondering, like, why does everything always have to be on steroids with you? People need to know this stuff.
That's a good question. But I don't have an answer for you, buddy. I don't know. I'm normally quick on my feet, but it's early, road dog. It's early, bud. But why not? Actually, I got an email from somebody recently, and I can't remember. It was from the magazine, but somebody said that. Said, as you would say, on steroids. I was like, wow, even my email subscribers are seeing the steroids, but no answer for your road dog.
Okay, well, there
man.
It is. But, you know,
I can tell you the steam coming off my pool this morning is on steroids. That's for sure.
Yes, yeah,
cold
your
out,
pool
dude.
is on steroids and probably will need to be replaced again by the spring. Like, you've gone through how many of those now? Like 3? Like, insane. Like, you are keeping the pool business alive.
I am, Shoots. I am, man.
Listen, I got some questions here, and I think I've heard this before somewhere else, but somebody asked the question, can you explain your sell it before you create it approach?
Sell it before you create. Well, yeah, that's not my concept. That would be somebody significantly smarter than I that taught me that. But yeah, exactly. Intelligence on steroids, far smarter than I. But anyway, so look, if you watch, you know, those shows like Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, and there's tons of them out there like it. Like, how often do you have somebody who stands up there, and again, they say, oh, I spent $1 million or $600,000 or whatever the number is, right? And they haven't made any sales yet. And every single time they'll then throw it back to the sharks, and they shake their head and all look at one another and kind of look down at the ground like, oh, you poor bugger, right? Probably normally doesn't end well. I can tell you, like, for the existing system that our coaches make or use, what we do is we create, like, you become a client of ours. One of the things we do is we create a membership site for you, right? I can tell you, so a long time ago, and we're going back 2008, so we're in 2020, so that would be 12 years ago. Probably coming on 13, because I think it was the beginning of 2008 and we were towards the end of 2020. But anyway, so basically I had so I was doing books and a few other things. I built a very large business coaching company. 2008 happened. Took a little bit of a punch in the mouth, would be understatement of the year. But at the end of the day, I was like considering this new model and thinking like, I wonder if this would work. And I can tell you, and I've told this story different times, you know, if you've heard of it, I apologize in advance here. But basically, I'd spoken to many impressive marketers, and I kind of told them my plan. And one by one, they told me, nah, I don't like it, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to, you know, let's have a look. And I had a very good understanding of the business coaching market. So I had a pretty clear vision as to what I wanted to create. But anyway, so I pictured this membership site, you know, that I would template and I would build out over the, you know, a period of a number of years and really make it killer. But the bottom line is I phoned Craig, who is now my CTO, who I was working with, you know, closely back then. And I basically just said to him, I said, man, what do you think? I said, look, could you build this? If I could sell this, could you build it? and just think of a membership site on steroids that then, there you go, steroids, road dog, but on steroids that basically could be duplicated, right? And he said, oh yeah, absolutely. This is what I would need. And I said, okay. I said, hang tight. And I kind of, I built the anatomy of it, like as to what it would look like. And, we need to have very importantly, but most folks don't understand, like they go and build an online course and they don't have what I'll refer to as a methodology. And if you don't have a methodology, what's going to happen is you're playing spray and pray. Like you're delivering a bunch of really good content to your business owners, but if they can't follow it, they're not getting anywhere. You need to have an overarching methodology. So I had built that. This is what it'll look like, yada, yada, yada. There was an event it was in Edmonton, which is in Alberta, Canada. There was a big audience there. They'd asked me to come and speak. And I said, okay. So I was about to do it. And I literally went to that event. I put together a presentation to sell this exact templated program. And I literally sold it from stage. And I walked off stage. I had a few people come up, buy and, hand over their credit cards, etc. And basically I walked out. So I like, oh, okay, it worked. I walked out of that room. So the next speaker got up, and again, I kind of did my thing, walked around the room, did what I had to do. I walked outside. I called Craig and I said, hey, what we talked about on Friday, you got to go to work and you need to create it. And basically I had money in the bank account done. People, one guy, literally paid 12 months up front right there because I gave him a bit of a deal. So thousands and thousands of dollars in my bank account. I walked outside. I called Craig. I said, get to work, man. I've got some orders and we got to get building those things. And basically he did exactly that and started building it, and even maybe another example is like with my, the software, our business coaching software, profit acceleration software, digital acceleration software. Like we had put that into place and we have been building it. Like we're on, basically 4.0 at this stage. 4 iterations. We've literally built 3 within the last 12 months. In fact, I think 9 months. I don't quote me on that, but pretty close. But we have been selling it and using it as we're building it and improving it. So the answer is that sell it before you create it. There's like an example of how I've done it. I would absolutely encourage you to be thinking about that. Like again, you're getting out there as a business coach. Like you have to wait. You got to stay 1 to 2 weeks ahead of your clients. Like go out there and sell it before you create it. So that's definitely something I would recommend. There's an example for you. I think that's what they're looking for, but I'd be doing that. Yeah, buddy.
Just real quick though. So obviously for software, cool. You think that this would work for like any type of business?
Okay, great question. So look at it this way. There's soft goods and then hard goods, right? So like you'll see this on Kickstarter all the time. Like an example that comes to mind, there was a cooler. I think they refer to as the coolest cooler, right? And it broke all kinds of records. They did an unbelievable sales video. They did like, I don't know, I'm going to say $1.5 million in upfront orders to basically buy this killer cooler, right? So basically that's an example of a hard good, a cooler, a car, something you can hold in your hand as a hard good. And then software, like you just said, Road Dog is a soft good. So it's always going to work better for a soft good. But something like Kickstarter is an example of what, you can see in real time of, hard goods being able to go out. So if you don't understand Kickstarter, what happens is you put together what you're going to build. Okay. So a cooler, you basically put it on Kickstarter, see if you can get some upfront orders. Let's say you get, 10, like realistically, you're not going to get $1.5 million of orders, but let's say you get, $10,000 of orders. You've now got, you tell them that, look, it's going to be delivered, the plan is to have it delivered on X, 90 days or, 6 months from when you launch it. And then basically you've got $10,000 in your bank account to go and build your product, right? So basically, yeah, you're right that think of soft goods and hard goods, and soft goods are always, a little bit easier to do, but then think if your soft goods, your service, and if you've ever, again, you've listened to my podcast for any period of time, you know that I often talk about just the importance of hard good, like the importance of becoming a product, right? Like I took business coaching and turned it into a product. as opposed to a service where it's just a weekly phone call and a accountability and a kick in the pants. You want to be thinking product, right? So again, another thing, Road Dog, that I think folks should be thinking about is like, okay, the concept of buying clients also falls into this. Like it's not the exact same, but it's of the same ilk, most definitely. So like, okay, buying clients. What do I mean by that? Like I'll go to, like we all talk about going to the accountant, right? Which kind of makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit just because it's just a overdone thing. And you wonder why you can never get the accountant back on the phone or even get through to him. But that being said, if you do hit it, the accountant's absolute pure gold. And we have over 100 accountants that work with us, right? So you go to the accountant, and the way that you could buy clients from him. Okay, so if you go to an accountant and say, Road Dog, you're the accountant, and I say, look, I'm going to pay you 20% of everything the business owners pay me. So Mr. Accountant or Road Dog, I charge $2,000 a month, and I'm going to pay you 20%. So that means every month, $400 check is going to roll up, and I'll start paying you, and they start paying me. And if they stop paying me, I'm going to stop paying you, right? Like we actually talked about this on the last podcast. Like you guys have all heard that. It's very, like this is the approach that everybody takes. What you really want to do, think of buying clients. The way that I would adjust that is I'd go to Road Dog, I'd sit down. I would say, look, man, I am the real deal. You make no mistake about it. This is like the biggest sale of all time. I want you to picture you've got a business owner on the phone that you're trying to close on like $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year coaching. Okay. You got to sell the accountant or the joint venture, prospective joint venture partner on doing a deal with you, right? So you got to explain that you've got this software, 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences, populates a roadmap. You can find anybody $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending $1 on marketing or advertising. You've got to get those messages out there, and you really got to impress the heck out of the accountant, right? So now what I say is, look, if you're like other accountants, you probably don't like the idea of doing a, pay as you go. But look, you've got that website. What if we did this? I want you to take me for a test drive. Always go for a test drive. Don't go to the accountant and say, send me every person you ever met and email all 400 of your clients, right? You're never going to get that deal done when he doesn't know you from Adam. You say, look, so you've got that website. What if I paid you $2,000 to advertise on your website? And then what you did in exchange for that $2,000 is that you introduced me to two of your clients, and you position me in the right way. Like they basically are going to buy coaching from me. And instead of me paying you a referral fee or whatever, like I just pay you $2,000. We'll call it advertising on your website. And basically you then send me two clients. Or more realistically, you go to the magazine, you go to the newspaper, you go to the digital marketer, you go to the online directory, you go to somebody who's selling advertising and do the same thing. It's like you want to spend $2,000 to $5,000 on advertising on their website, but the real agreement is that they are then going to turn that around and give you 5 clients, but they are guaranteed to have $5,000. So that would be an example of buying clients, right? So again, just very importantly, as I set that up, when you want milk and bread for the kids in the morning, you go to 7-Eleven or you go to the grocery store, you grab it, you walk to the counter, you whip out your credit card or your cash, and you pay for it on the spot. So when you're thinking of buying clients, use that as the approach. Like, don't be shy to whip out some money and put it on the table. Don't be scared to spend money. Like, it's effectively the adjustment in psyche is that you're buying results, right? You're going to the accountant, you're going to the magazine, you're going to the online directory, you're going to whoever it is, and you're whipping money out of your bank account and putting it down. The guy who sells advertising, go and do that. It's a very, very powerful concept. Very, very few people do it. Even less people talk about it or teach it. And I got to tell you, it's a winner, winner, chicken dinner. So absolutely. I mean, and again, how I got on that, like sell it before you create it. Again, it's of the same family, but a little bit different. But understanding buying clients is a very powerful concept. And I wish that more coaches kind of understood it. So there you go, Road Dog. That's what I'd say to that, man.
Would you also agree with the fact that in order to sell it before you create it, like, it takes some balls, man. Like, you got to have a lot of confidence to pull that off, wouldn't you say? Like, that's a kind of a big thing, right? Like, I guess the only thing I wanted to add to that was because I know a lot of coaches, especially if they're starting out, they may lack a little bit of that confidence. But just take a look at any program because we've all bought 1,000,001 programs. You and I, especially, Karl, for sure. Like imagine working with one of your programs or coaches or whatever that you've worked with in the past when they first got going. I know for me, like one of my coaches, man, I wish when he was just starting out I was there with him at the beginning. Just like that's sort of the way I look at it. And you're creating
Yep.
the exact same opportunity for your prospects and your clients, right? Like
Yep.
where you will be 5 years from now, I just look at that and think, man, like how lucky will they be to have been there to work with me as I'm working out the kinks and everything else? You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yep.
anyways, that's just sort of the mentality that I like to take. Boy,
Yep.
I really wish I would have started working with my mentors. Like, imagine even working with you, like you and Craig back in '08. Like,
Yep.
just being a part of that entire evolution would be next level. But anyways, that's kind of my point there. So I'll leave it at that unless you have any sort of
Yeah,
thoughts
well,
on
no, a lot of our clients, like I said, as you know, I mean, them, Glenn Kirk would be one, and many, Rivers Corbett. A lot of these guys have been around, like literally with us since day not. Like Tara Levine, she's got a $3 million coaching business. I just interviewed her not long ago on how she got clients during the pandemic. She got a $3 million coaching business. Been a client for 10 years. So, Kyla Dillard, she'd be on here as well. Same thing. Like a decade of working together. So they've seen that evolution, and absolutely, and not surprisingly, they tend to be the ones that have had an enormous amount of success. And there's no doubt when we speak to them, they're just gobsmacked by the evolution that they've seen and the improvements that they've seen and the new systems, et cetera. So yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt, jumping on board early.
which is crazy because back in those days, most people would say they actually have less hair now, but not you. Like it's the complete opposite. You actually have more hair now than you did 10 years ago.
You don't pretend like you're not jealous, Robo.
Listen, bud, I got a million comments, but I'm going to save them right now because in the theme of this conversation, now sell it before you create it. Okay, cool. Now, what if, because somebody asked the question, what is your take when someone asks for a testimonial? Because this could tie right in, right?
Yeah.
But again, I know your opinion on testimonials. So fire away, my friend, because I think everybody
okay, like again, we hear this one a lot, and it gets messed up. My take is, it's not my take. If they are asking you for a testimonial, you just didn't sell them. Like the end, right? It's like that. This is their excuse for not buying on the spot. And of course, then somebody's going to pull out the example of somebody who actually bought yeti, but you just didn't sell them properly, right? So, you really got, if you're getting this consistently, you really got to go to the drawing board and have a look at the way you're selling it, like something like scarcity. Some real basics, fundamental basics are missing. I mean, a big part of why we created the software was for this reason, so that we could basically, like it populates a roadmap and it legitimizes coaches at such a high level. But like your clients, like when you ask for a testimonial, look, your clients don't work for you, right? So you got to be careful with this, because if you have a client and then a bunch of prospective clients are calling them and asking, look, is this guy legit? I mean, it doesn't bode. It does not work in any way. Actually, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but more often than not, it's working against you in that existing relationship, and they don't work for you. You're coaching them to make them more successful. And one of the most important things you got to do when you're helping somebody become successful is, help them and protect their focus. Well, if they're taking calls on your behalf, I can't see how that's a positive, right? So here's what you got to do. Somebody asks for a testimonial, you just got to throw it back to them. Look, here's the question. Do you really want to do this? Right? And then, so if you really want to do this, here's what I'm going to do. You agree that we are going to move forward. Okay. And again, you have to give, you got to give me my $997. You got to give me my $1997. You got to give me my first month deposit to get started. I'll then give you 3 names. And you call those 3 names, and I'm going to tell you that they are going to say they will be legitimate clients, or however you want to word that, right, to make them feel comfortable. And provided they don't come back and say that I'm, full of crap or a serial killer, then we continue on. But if they do, and you get the wobblies, I will happily refund your $997 or your $1997, and we move along, right? So basically, and don't be honored. Like, again, some folks, like, they'll tell me, oh yeah, I got this client. Look, they just want to speak to 3 people, but I know it's going to go amazing, so it's no big deal. I mean, first of all, they very seldom contact them anyways, right? And then when they do, they contact them, they waste your client's time, and then they come back and don't buy from you. So simply put, you got to be a lot stronger. Don't be honored with the fact that, they've asked to speak to somebody else, like as though this is like amazing and they're really going to move forward. You've really got to take that tact, right? Like, you got to be a whole lot stronger. Or again, you say, look, and if you're not comfortable, and I know some without strong sales skills won't be comfortable with the way that I just position that, like, okay, pay me $997. I'll give you 3 names. You contact them before Friday. If you get the wobblies, because we got to set up our next call, which is going to be next Tuesday. If next Tuesday you decide after speaking to my guys that you don't want to move forward, then no worries, right? Some are going to say, yeah, look, I get it, but I'm not comfortable with that. You just say, look, here's the scoop. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 phone numbers. Against my better judgment, quite frankly, because I've just been down this road. I'm not new, right? I've been around the block a few times, as have you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll give you 3 names. You have to contact every single one of them before Friday. But I also want an agreement that you're not going to waste their time. Look, these people have, growing companies, and I protect their focus the same way that I'm going to protect your focus. And I'm not going to send a bunch of people to phone you because you and I are going to be crushing it. I'm not going to all of a sudden create a, one-way, phone line between my conversations and, your cell phone so that you can do my work for me and help me sell my new clients. So here's what I'll do is I'm going to give you 3 phone numbers. You need to speak to each of them by Friday. And then on Tuesday, when we get together, it is a yes or it is a no, or I'm giving you the no, right? Because again, if you can't decide, successful business owners make hard decisions quickly. You need to do the same thing, okay? And not to mention, business is all about focus and time management, right? If you understand, protecting your time and the importance of it, guys like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg, one of the most important things they do is really understand not time management. I'm not talking about, the chapter 7 of the business book. I'm talking about really understanding it. So you have to be able to make these hard decisions quickly. Just sitting there toing and froing whether or not we're going to work together, instead of you thinking about between now and Friday whether or not we should work together, why don't you consider thinking about between now and Friday how you are going to make best use of our relationship and really take your business to the next level, and think of different systems and different processes and different, marketing strategies that I can help you deploy over the next 12 months. Which would be a better thing for you to be thinking about, right? No doubt they're but you see the way you turn it back and you really put the pressure on. And what I often talk about is just channeling my inner Steve Jobs. Again, when I'm sitting there, and I honestly do this on a reasonably consistent basis where I'm considering something, right? And it's like either doing something or not doing something or just whatever I got to be doing. And I just kind of channel my inner Steve Jobs. Like, what would Steve Jobs do? And in every situation, what I find is I find an inner strength. Like, Steve Jobs is just not going to get taken advantage of. It's just not happening in any way, shape, or form, right? So again, and at the same time, he's smart enough to know that his job is to build win-win partnerships, right? And again, that's part of, being strong is also being vulnerable and being able to create, it's about building partnerships. So just doing a program, and I talked about, what I was looking to achieve, and it kind of had this hero and zero. Think of it as a spreadsheet with a line down the middle, right? And on the hero side, I have Steve Jobs. And on the most important thing that he had, I put dream partner, right? Like, again, just imagine being able to partner with Apple, right? Just imagine what that would do for your average business. So I put that down. So that's what I mean by that. But the bottom line is, if somebody is asking for testimonials, look, your process sucks. You're not, bringing across a level of preeminence that you should, and you really need to go to the drawing board and have a bit of a look. And yes, once in a while it will work. And I would just encourage you to use your spidey senses and your instincts as to whether or not this is legit. If this is a, kick butt business and really thriving, and they legitimately need to know that they're working with somebody who understands their space and understands them and has some runs on the board, well, then go for it, right? if this is a mortgage broker trying to make 115 grand this year, I'm sorry, that's just not a guy who's going to, test me, if you know what I mean. Again, Steve Jobs is not going to give a bunch of phone numbers to the mortgage broker. I'm sorry, no disrespect to mortgage brokers listening, by the way, but I'm guessing you kind of get the idea. So yeah, testimonials, it's a funny one, Road Dog, but yeah, be careful with that one. Be careful.
You know what else is funny? You comparing yourself to Steve Jobs, the most unsavvy tech guy, like Mr. Bean, maybe, but not Steve Jobs. Hey,
we both got long my hair. We both got long hair, Shane. So there you go. You see Steve Jobs in his heyday, man.
Folks, you're like an old school Frank Kern, is what you are right now.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go.
You are the 10th worst sea doer in the Okanagan.
I probably could. I might. Only I think I might be the second worst, but I look good with my locks flowing. All right, let's keep going, Shades.
Hey, listen, just on that front, real quick, because I know we get this quite a bit too. So obviously, testimonials. How do you feel about? Oh, is there some information or a flyer? Same thing, right? Like, is there something else you can send me? Same thing.
Look. There's a saying: buyers are liars. Okay. They don't want to say no to you. Okay, because why? They don't want to hurt your feelings. Yada yada yada. You've got to be stronger. It is a yes or it is a no. And if you can't say yes, I say no, and then I move on. Like getting stuck in maybe land. Like this guy might buy. You've got all these proposals. Like you're waiting by your email, waiting for all these these deals to come through. It's just not where you can allow just maybe yourself out of business. So you've got to deal in yes and no's, and you got to channel your inner Steve Jobs, and you got to think again, like you think Steve Jobs is going to allow you to just hang a maybe out there and kind of tell you, yeah, look, I'll email you back. You know what I mean? Just imagine what his response to that would be, right? And I can tell you that after channeling my inner Steve Jobs many a times, right? That's just not happening. So yeah, it's a yes, it's a no, and you just have to get stronger. And once you do it, it's like firing a client, Road Dog, right? Like, I hear this all the time from coaches when they fire their first client. It's so liberating. It's like, you know what? Damn, I don't just work with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to just be, told what to do and yada yada yada. It's very liberating and a very strong thing to do. So there you go. You got to be stronger, folks. You got to be stronger.
There it is. It's a true statement for you as well. And I'm talking just straight up physically. You need to be strong. Okay, here's a good one for you. What do you not get asked that you should get asked? I like that one.
What? Sorry, I missed it. Say it again, please. What is it?
Sorry, your inner Steve Jobs was drowning you out there, or what was that?
That's what happened. Go. What is it?
Oh my gosh. What do you not get asked? I feel like I'm talking to my wife. What do you not get asked that you should get asked?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, agreed. That's cool. What do I know? I love the little hacks, the little nuances. I mean, there's some fundamentals of business that you just need to understand, right? Like you're a business coach, you got to have that beginner's mind, and you've got to be willing to go and educate yourself at a high level. But it's the little hacks, the little nuances, and just think of a professional athlete, right? Like again, what separates, in karate, there are 12 moves, right? And then just the world champion does those 12 moves just a little bit better, and not just one of them, like multiple, small incremental changes in multiple areas. Like when you're doing, like say when you're working out, if you want to get yourself into shape and cardio is a challenge or something you're trying to improve, when you exercise, breathe out of your nose only. And it's way better. You get me in significantly better shape quicker, right? Like, so even when I'm helping a business, what we do is like there's 5 key areas that we'll go to. We talked about this, Road Dog, in the pre-show today. Like, so there's basically 5 areas, right? The software has got 12. But of those 12, which by the way also go to 40 in what's called the deep dive of the software. But anyway, so there's 5 key areas, and just think of these. There's leads, there's conversions, there's transactions. Think, do you want fries with that? The next one is leads, transactions, unit of sale. So it's like, do you want me to supersize that? And then the fifth one would be like profit margins, right? So leads, conversions, transactions, pricing, and then profits is the way we describe it. And then when you get like a small incremental adjustment in each of the 5 areas, what happens is you get like a compounding effect. Okay, so just think multiplication versus addition. So if you just take this little tiny business, our templated example, you've got a company that made $62,000 of profit, and then we put a 10% increase in the 5 areas, and it takes it to over 100 grand, right? So like imagine if somebody had 25% conversions, and then you had to increase that by 10%. Well, that's 27.5% conversions, right? Like it's just so easy to do. It's absolutely scary. With any effort whatsoever, you'll be able to do that. And the magic is you won't get a 10% improvement. You get like a, 15, 20, 30% improvement, and all the numbers swell, right? But if you're $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, and you meet a business owner that's making $60,000 of profit, you increase those 5 areas that I just said, leads, conversions, transactions, pricing, profits, by 10%, you now got them to 100 grand. That's $40,000 of profit. It's not revenue, by the way. That's $40,000 of profit. Well, you charge 24 grand. I could do that in 30 days. I could do that in 90 days with any business owner in any niche, in any language. I think, well, maybe not Mandarin or Cantonese, but basically it doesn't change, right? So if I'm 24 grand a year and within 90 days, I'm putting $40,000 in their bank account, bingo, bango, bongo. Like that's where the power lies. And then, by the way, if you do a 50% increase in the 5 areas, you see it go to almost $500,000. Imagine a business owner going from 62,000 to $500,000. And look, then the question is, okay, well, would that happen with everybody? And the answer is no. The big X factor, when I say that I could do it in 30 to 90 days with any business owner, there is one key thing I need, and that's a willing participant, right? I need a business owner, like the guy who's asking me for testimonials early on. This is that is really bad for our relationship, because when I tell him to jump, I need him to be saying how high, not why, and then deciding if he's going to jump. Kind of follow that. Very, very important. That's why, like when I would do, like back in the day when I'm doing like regular, proper, business coaching 101, if you didn't see me speak on stage, I wouldn't coach you. It's kind of like the X factor that I knew that if you saw me on stage and, I like to be entertaining and I had a little bit of fun, and I just found that those coaching relationships ended, went for a long period of time. Whereas when someone I didn't have that preeminence, it wasn't the same thing. So effectively, that's kind of the magic there. You just small incremental changes in multiple areas of our business. Or another like hack is like everybody knows 80-20. In fact, I literally right now did a series of emails last week, and there's a few more that are going to, I'm knocking them together. Because again, I'm getting a ton of feedback on 80-20 because everybody understands the power of it. But, and again, I've talked about this before, but I think people hear this and they conceptually understand it. But the question is, are you doing it, and are you helping your clients doing it? And is it happening? And then is it working on the other end, right? So 80-20, when I go 80-20, I really want you to think like 150, right? Or 51, however you want to position that. But the bottom line is 1% of their activity, or 1% of their clients, or 1% of their products, etc., is bringing in 50% of the revenue, right? Or the activity or efficiency, etc., in their business. So I don't think folks are doing that. But when you really understand it, and then what you do is you create a mental model around it, where you literally, like everything that's happening throughout the day over 24 hours, if you automatically ran it through, is this 80-20? Is this 80-20? Is this 80-20? You'll find that you'll start doing less, and spending more time and more energy and more focus on the higher leverage opportunities. And then, by the way, training and helping your clients do the same thing. So, like another thing, Michael Jordan would talk about, like falling into the zone. Okay, again, this happens for you. Like a great example is you have a public speaker. Okay, they get up there, they do their 1-hour talk, and guess where they go? As soon as they walk off the stage, guess where they go? To the bathroom. It's like they're trying to avoid everybody, and it annoys them that everybody wants to ask them a question. Well, when you walk off the stage, when you think of 80, 20, 150, right? Like the power that you have got, the people that come to speak to you, the sales that you can make. If I'm doing an event, and normally what I would do, and you guys probably heard me talk about this, and if you haven't, just follow Live Event Mastery in the podcast. Like when I walk off stage, what I would do is I'd always plant an accountant or the magazine or the newspaper, the digital marketer, like basically a joint venture opportunity. When I walk off stage, I accidentally but intentionally end up right in front of that person, right? Why? I've got the power, right? And by the way, like there's all these people that want my attention, and then I'm speaking to this one individual, makes them feel a little bit more special, right? Like that's that kind of X factor of business right there, right? Another example would be like you're a business coach and then you make a sale, okay? You're super pumped, and who do you call? You call your wife. Do you know who you should call? You're in the zone. You should be calling another prospect. That's what you should be doing, right? Like athletes, if you follow athletes, like they go on, goal scorers in hockey go on streaks. Quarterbacks in football go on streaks. Hitters in baseball definitely go on streaks, right? Well, like you don't want to all of a sudden, if a guy's on a streak, I guarantee the coach is not taking him out of the next game or pulling him in the 7th or 8th inning when they need to run, right? Like it's not happening. It's the exact opposite. When you're not on a streak, they pull you out, right? So the bottom line, the questions, it's not so much the questions I get asked, but what do I like? Where do I think the big difference is? Remember, karate's got 12 moves, and the world champion just does the 12 moves a little bit better. Those small incremental adjustments in multiple areas create monster impact versus, okay, so that's the solution. What's the problem? What your business owners and potentially you are doing is you're concentrating on one area. And I would dare say, I guarantee it's lead generation. It's all about lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. So again, with fear of repeating myself from other podcasts we've done, if I was a business coach, what I would do is I would get a pen and a piece of paper and I'd write down 50 ways that I would help a specific business owner, a dog groomer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, the chiropractor, the dentist. I've often talked, I've got a case study that I put out as part of my daily email series on restaurant, right? I just said, look, if I was to help a restaurant, this is what I would do with them. And if you just Google my name, restaurant case study, you're going to see it pop up. It's 2 days. I think it's day 8 and day 9 or something. Check it out. But you see how that's what I would do versus go into lead generation or think about Facebook ads. Like, should a business coach do Facebook ads? Like, I get that question all the time. Look, if you don't have coaches underneath you, which most don't, you can only take on, 15 one-to-one clients. So it doesn't make any sense to run Facebook ads. Just go form one joint venture, like I talked about earlier, with the accountant, the magazine, the newspaper, the guy who's already got, been in business for 5 to 10 years and already has a bunch of business owners, and go write a check to that individual, right? Don't do the deal where if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. Remember, you always want to be Santa Claus, not the Grinch, right? So show up with presents as opposed to work, and you'll see yourself going, significantly further. So don't, again, business owners fall into the trap of thinking, massive improvements in a specific area, and not, that's not the way to do it. So, Road Dog, that's what I'd say to that one, my brother.
So Karl, you talked like all these little statistical numbers and everything else. Like I would have to imagine, I bet there's a lot of examples of this from the world of gambling.
Of small incremental change. Yes. Look, well, Vegas was built on 2% advantages and adjustments, right? So again, my dad, reason Road Dog's asking that question, my dad was a professional gambler. Like long before poker was super cool, my dad was gambling. So yeah, that's like literally Vegas is built on these small, look, it's built on those small little incremental adjustments, like 2% of advantages, and psychology, right? Like even, so like I remember my dad telling me that like when you go to the horses, right? So have you ever been to the horse? Like you go to the horses, like basically you don't actually, well, you can go to the horses and watch the horses run around the track, but really what people do is go to betting facilities. Think Vegas in a big, casino. They stand in front of the, They stand in front of the TV screens, and like as the horse race is completed, what happens? You find out if you won or you lost, right? Well, what happens once you work out if you won or you lost, you then go place another bet. But while the horse is running that you had bet on, you don't go bet during that process. That makes sense, right? So basically, when you get the result. So here's the question. Does it take 15 minutes to get you that, whether you won or lost? Does it take 10 minutes? Does it take 5 minutes? And what if it was instant? Well, if it's instant, guess what? Over the course of a 4-hour session, going to what's called the TAB in Australia, or the casino, basically you were gonna bet significantly more. So if you own, like if you were in horse racing and you were on the other side of the table, which is the right side, you want to be collecting the bets, not making the bets, by the way. That's a whole other conversation, but that's why everybody loses. They're on the wrong side of the table, on the wrong side of the transaction. Like the bookies make all the money, the bettors do not. So basically, like you want to spend your time on software and ways to get those results to your bettors quicker, right? Like again, I don't know if those not interested in gambling and whatnot, and I'm not a gambler, by the way. I do not gamble at all. I used to like gambling, but it's just not something that I want to be doing. I buy advertising. That's my way of gambling in the business world. Like Monday night, you speak of psychology, like Monday night has always got, Monday Night Football has always got the most amount of bets. And then if you want to know, well, why is that? Which is important, right? Well, what everybody's doing, they're basically they're either spending the money they won during the week because they feel like they're hot, or they're chasing money that they lost, right? So again, it's like Vegas is built on people chasing losses, right? It's psychology 101. Like people are they're more worried about loss than gain, right? Otherwise, like everybody would go to Vegas, get up $300, $400, $500, $1,000, stand up and then leave. Does that happen? And the answer is almost never, right? They get up $1,000, they lose the $1,000, and then they're down $1,000. And then not only are they chasing their $1,000, but they're chasing the $1,000 that they were up, right? So that's why, like, again, and you need to have scarcity built into your sales process. I just kind of described it right there, right? They're more worried about what they're losing than anything else. Like small incremental changes, like poker. Another great example is somebody came up with the idea of taking 2 pieces of perspex or plexiglass, putting them on a table, put the cards upside down, and you took poker from a back door, guys hiding from the police, to a TV, a TV sport, right? It's like absolutely monstrous. Or like, again, we're talking about small incremental changes like matching and mirroring, right? Like when you are talking to a prospect, and then they talk fast, you speed up a little bit, this can be a difference maker. Or you're speaking to somebody who talks slow and very methodically and clearly thinking about what they're going to say before they say it. Again, that could totally be, the magic pill of taking the business to the next level. Or like Salesforce, right? Like Salesforce had to raise all this money, and they were constantly chasing. And then somebody came up with the idea, and like it wasn't the owner, right? Came up with the idea, and it was that they got 12-month payments up front, right? Like it literally stopped it. It took Salesforce from basically Salesforce struggling to Salesforce, the whatever it is, $100 billion company. I've talked in the past about, Dell computers. They stopped basically. It's basically you go to Dell and you buy the computer, and then they start to build it. When you really understand that business model, it's a catastrophic difference in profitability. I think they have no wasted inventory. They have no models that come out to then get superseded, and they've got either, basically burn, basically melt them down and turn them into other computers, or just, send them out there for significantly discounted price. No storage. Imagine how much storage, like retail space, you've got to have to basically store all of that stock and all those computers, right? Like all of those adjustments lead to more profitability. Thinking of that, for your coaching clients, how can they adjust their model? Like what, again, profit acceleration software, we've got 12 specific areas that you go to, where if you do, like, not a business on the planet can't go to those 12 areas and get a small incremental improvement. That's the software is built on like 3 to 5% improvements in multiple areas versus 25, 50% improvements in specific areas. Like that's part of the magic. The realtor starts doing a party for the guy who sells the house and then the guy who buys it. That is a total game changer for referrals for the realtor. And if you understand the way real estate and realtors operate, like that's how they operate their businesses, on referrals, right? And by the way, it's stolen straight from the MLM, right? Like you have little parties in your kitchen, right? So like And by the way, so the coach listening, okay, here's the question. On Friday night, Thursday night, Saturday night, are you having an MLM style party in your kitchen for business owners, like business owner parties? Like somebody's about to start a business, invite them. Somebody's wanting to start a business, invite them, right? Like how could that not work? And I guarantee again, it will. And you just got to do it consistently, and you have to accept that in week 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's probably not going to be amazing. But in week 100, it's going to be an absolute bulletproof way for you to basically be able to, get all kinds of, you're going to be able to get all kinds of clients, the end. So I don't know. These are questions around business models, right? Like doing a program right now, even around positioning, right? And it's kind of like copywriting and positioning help. I find the guys in there, again, I got to keep my mouth zipped, but they don't have a business model, right? They don't have a business model. So they don't need positioning. They need a freaking business model, right? This is where they should be spending their time. Facebook ultimately, Facebook is a platform that is free to sell ads, right? LinkedIn is a platform free to sell ads and premium memberships. They do billions of dollars, right? Airbnb have got that two-way channel where the same place that you go to rent your room, it's the same place that I go to rent it, right? When you understand, when you start with business model in mind, I think it can take you to totally different heights. This is the reason why we created digital acceleration software. Why? Because I know business owners, the conversation in their head is, how do I make Facebook ads work? How do I make social media work? How do I make the internet work for me? So our coaches now have the ability to go in basically, and provide digital acceleration advice, roadmap, all the questions in there, the processes there. Once again, there's millions and millions of weighted algorithmic sequences that pump out the roadmap. But basically, when you can go in and talk digital acceleration to get yourself in the door, and then you look at the business and go, whoa, hang on. Before we do Facebook ads, you don't have an upsell. You don't have a downsell. You don't have a cross sell. You don't have a proper upfront offer. You have an accounts receivable problem. You have a cash flow problem. Look, the worst thing that we could ever do is turn on Facebook ads. Why don't let's go to the fundamentals first and talk goal setting and time management and upsell, downsell, cross-sell, proper upfront offer, etc. Let's get these things in place before we go and spend a whole bundle of money on Facebook advertising. And remember, you've got 25% margin. So when we, run Facebook ads and earn you $1 and make you some sales, you're going to keep 25 cents and 75 cents gets lit on fire. Gets lit on fire for expenses. So maybe a better place to start is here, right? So yeah, Road Dog, kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, bud. But no doubt some unbelievable, the gambling, which again, we're talking a multi-$100 billion plus industry. It's just built on small incremental changes in multiple areas, right? And again, I think psychology, which is also very relevant. If you are selling coaching and then you're not using scarcity, you're not listening to what I'm saying, right? You need to have scarcity built into your sales process, because that's what leads people to, finally make a decision and sign on the dotted line and get started with you, right? As opposed to just putting you in maybe land and, you hoping that they're going to send you the email back to say, yeah, I spoke to my wife and she thinks it's an amazing idea, right? It's just not the way it goes. So there you go, Road Dog. What do you think, man? Answer that?
I'm just reviewing my notes here. So just add steroids. That's basically.
Buddy, this is the secret. That's the secret. That's the question that I don't get that I should is, how do I add steroids to the following? There we go. That's what we need.
This is it. Hey, by the way, when you mentioned the small party things, back in when I had my office in Yaletown in Vancouver, I did a thing called Beer Fridays every Friday afternoon. I always had beer in the fridge, and whoever was like, hey, bring a friend, right? And I always had people show up Friday afternoons. It was great.
And did you get clients or did you not get clients?
I got clients. Yeah, it's a true story.
100%, it's bulletproof. But I bet in week 1 and week 2, you thought, this is a stupid idea because nobody, or maybe again, you're a fun dude and a lot of people want to come hang out. But I bet in the first couple of weeks, it was borderline horrific in terms of conversion of sales, especially if you come on too strong. But in week like 50, it's like candy from a baby, but it takes effort, right?
First 2 weeks, I was definitely consuming more beer by myself.
I can see you doing that, Road Dog. I've seen you drink a beer, Shoot.
There you go. There you go. All right, big Shoots. Can you close us out with giving us, just one thing from today's podcast that they can implement today?
You know what? I think we just look, Beer Friday. What's better than that? Just have and by the way, we'll assume that the business coach we're talking to, like Road Dog and I, you hear us, bantering. Like, again, we're beer drinking buddies, right? It's not like we go out, we don't pound a case of beer and, stumble home and, throw up when we get out. There's nothing like that. We sit down, we talk business, we have similar interests, kids the same age, yada, yada, yada. We're just having a good time. We're drinking a couple of beers, right? So that's our personality. So if you are super, and by the way, it's actually very relevant, the introverted, like, oh my God, it's not my style. You know what? I would disagree, bring some other introverts around and whatnot, right? It's a home run strategy, oh gosh, on steroids without question. And they should just totally get together. But I think what's relevant is saying, is this consistent with your personality type? And then it's probably going to work better, quicker. But I would dare say the introverted introverts, the president of the antisocial social club kind of thing, still work for you. You know what I mean? And just have a little bit of fun. And, maybe it's doing a board game. Maybe it's playing cash flow or playing Monopoly or whatever it is, but make it suit, but just get it going on a Friday and 100% it will work. The problem is it probably won't work in week 1 or week 2. And like you said, you'll be sitting there by yourself, drinking beer, lonely, questioning your sanity. But follow through and do it. Bingo, bango, bongo. So there you go. I think everybody should implement that. And I think it makes their business. I'm going to assume that, again, somebody listening, the idea of having, business owners get together, given the fact that we're business coaches, is something that you'd enjoy doing and something you could really see yourself giving an impact, et cetera. Because believe me, you'll hear some stories, like some of the people that they'll open up to you, about, the struggle that they're having and the depression that's sort of set in and the separation, divorce, et cetera. What am I saying? You'll really make a difference. And you can go to those people. And if you take a business owner that, again, just think of what I just talked about, small incremental changes. You take a business that sucks and losing money and you implement an upsell, a downsell, a cross-sell, and a proper upfront offer, watch what happens. I'm telling you that they'll go from unprofitable to profitable in record darn time. So anyways, I really think you can have an impact and it can make your business a lot more fun is my thought. So there you go, Road Dog. There's the closing thought. Shoot.
Yeah, just to close on that, dude, it's such a casual way. You know what I mean? It's it's not a stuffy BNI or anything like that. It's a casual environment for people to bring their friends where you can just, it's not a sales pitch. It's just a get to know you. And then maybe you invite them to your free event. You know what I mean? It's just so casual. And that's what I love about it. So anyways, all right, man. Just to close us out, thanks everybody for tuning into another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, whose pool is just steaming like crazy right now. My boy King Karl. If you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or you just want more information on how to build your coaching business, visit focused.com and subscribe today. Again, that's focused with an ED. Again, this is not a reflection on Karl's masculinity or physical conditions. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone you think that might make a great coach. Again, someone's a great salesperson or the highly motivated type. And of course, as always, we'd appreciate if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. And that's it for another week, everybody. Remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.